to 1.99 trillion naira during the same period. Capital adequacy ratio for the subsector also exceeded the minimum prudential ratio of 10%. The committee recognized the supportive developmental roles of the CBN towards addressing some of the structural issues in the economy. The MPC specifically expressed optimism on the future impact of the disbursements from Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprise Investment Scheme, the AXMIS, by 92.9 billion naira to 24,702 beneficiaries, Anchor Borrower Program by a sum of 164.9 billion naira to over 954,279 beneficiaries, and COVID-19 Targeted Credit Facility to households and SMEs by 149.2 billion naira to 316,869 beneficiaries. Liquidity conditions in the banking system continue to influence money market rates in the review period. The OBB rate declined progressively as a result of rising liquidity levels in the banking system, while there were no transactions at the uncollateralized interbank call window. Consequently, the monthly weighted average OBB rate declined to 1.88% in October 2020 from 3.5% in September 2020. The committee noted the recent impressive performance recorded in the equities market, particularly the increased patronage by domestic investors, largely driven by low yields in the money market. The all-share index increased by 20.55% to 30,520.69 on October 30, 2020, from 25,327.13 on September 30, 2020. Similarly, market capitalization grew by 20.82% to 15.96 trillion from 13.21 trillion over the same period. This improved performance was largely attributed to positive third quarter corporate earnings as investors moved in to pick up bargain stocks. Committee observed the moderate decline in external reserve position, which stood at $35.18 billion as at November 19, 2020, compared to $35.95 billion as at the end of September 2020, as crude oil prices continue to fluctuate with downward pressure. Our outlook. Overall, medium-term outlook for the global economy is beginning to show a ray of optimism following the discovery of COVID-19 vaccines. In the domestic economy, available data and forecasts for key macroeconomic variables also suggest optimism in output growth during the fourth quarter of 2020 due to the positive outlook for most economic activities. Accordingly, the economy is expected to recover from the recession by the end of 2020, while inflation is projected to moderate by the first quarter of 2021. Committee's considerations. Committee's considerations remain focused around tailwinds imparting upward pressure to domestic prices and key headwinds to output growth. The committee noted that inflation continued to be driven by supply-side disruptions arising from COVID-19 pandemic and other legacy factors. Key amongst these are security challenges in parts of the country, increase in food prices, and the recent hike in pump price of PMS and electricity tariff. MPC therefore emphasized the need to address structural supply-side issues by putting upward pressure on cost of production and unemployment. To address the public health crisis associated with COVID-19 pandemic, committee urged the federal government to make relentless effort to procure a substantial quantity of the COVID-19 vaccines to surmount the public health crisis and pave the way for a broader macroeconomic recovery in the country. Committee noted that the contraction had bottomed out since it moderated significantly from minus 6.1 to minus 3.62% during the third quarter. This was so because both the monetary and fiscal authorities had anticipated the impending recession and had put measures in place for its quick reversion. Some of these measures include the Economic Sustainability Program by the federal government and other CBN facilities targeted at households, small and medium enterprises, youth empowerment, and reduction in unemployment. It thus urged the federal government to maintain its initiative to the youths, citing the recent NSAS protests and ensuing agitation by hoodlums as potentially disruptive to output growth in Nigeria. As a result, the MPC reiterated its support for the various development finance initiatives of the CBN to stimulate production and reduce unemployment. MPC further encouraged the bank to intensify its efforts by increasing funding to more beneficiaries so as to boost consumer spending and accelerate recovery from recession. On the financial markets, committee considered the improved performance in the equities market as a leading indicator of medium-term macroeconomic recovery. It thus urged the bank to maintain its policies on exchange rate and financial system stability to attract more investments into the equities market. MPC noted that credit to key sectors of the economy increased and encouraged the continued credit support to employment-stimulating sectors to hasten the recovery of output growth and improve employment, particularly amongst the youths. Committee emphasized the need for the CBN to maintain its regulatory surveillance over the banking system to ensure that non-performing loans remain low. MPC noted with pleasure the CBN's engagement with relevant stakeholders, particularly in the private sector, to hasten the recovery of growth. This engagement would involve collaboration towards job creation and provision of credit facilities to stimulate business activities to both corporate and individuals, particularly those who lost their goods and business premises to hoodlums during the recent protest. Committee's decision. At this meeting, the committee focused not only on price stability, but also on the need to speedily take actions to exit the recession. In view of these considerations, the choices before the committee were focused whether on the need to tighten the stance of policy to address rising price levels, recognizing its primary mandate of price stability, to support output recovery, or to allow existing policy initiatives to permeate the economy. Committee noted that although the appropriate response to rising inflationary pressures would be to tighten the stance of policy in order to moderate upward pressure on prices, it nevertheless felt that doing this will exert downward pressure on the recovery of output growth. Committee also felt that tightening would negate the bank's desire to expand credit to the real sector at affordable terms, not only to boost production, but also to increase consumer spending. To the committee, tightening was therefore not the appropriate response at this time. With the economy, whereas MPC felt that government spending and the bank's expansionary stance would be desirable to support recovery and guide the economy out of recession, it felt loosening would trigger excess liquidity and worsen the inflationary pressures. MPC also felt that excess liquidity may impact demand pressures and fuel further depreciation of the currency. With respect to a hold position, committee was of the view that this will be beneficial as it will allow current policy measures to permeate the economy while observing the trend of developments. Committee also felt that the heterodox policies of the bank targeted at various sectors are showing positive results that will further engender growth. On balance, MPC was of the view that although all three options offer some benefits to the economy, the hold option was desirable at this meeting. Based on these factors, members voted in line with the most pressing need towards reversing the recession and achieving medium-term macroeconomic stability. In view of the foregoing, the committee decided by a unanimous vote to retain all parameters. In summary, MPC voted 1. To retain MPR at 11.5%, 2. Retain asymmetric corridor of minus 100 and plus 100 and minus 700 basis points around the MPR, and 3. Retain CRR at 27.5%, and 4. Retain the liquidity ratio at 30%. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Governor. And that is the communique of the 276th meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria, presented by the Governor of the CBN. Thank you, sir. Now we'll take some questions. Some of the correspondents are here, and some sent in their questions online. So we'll start with you. Okay. Okay. That's your name.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Governor, and good afternoon. I am Nancy Naji, Moneyline Nancy on AIT. I have two questions. Governor, taking you up on some of the things you said in the communique, that 149 billion naira has been disbursed to over 316,000 beneficiaries under the TCF, Targeted Credit Facility, and under AXMIS, you've disbursed over 92 billion naira. I would like to know, are there other steps, are there other measures, because some people are yet to get alerts, or some people are yet to be credited. Are there other steps to credit other people? Because we know it's a recessionary time right now. People need to be stimulated. Demand needs to be stimulated. That's one. The second question is, it's no longer news we're in a recession. That was according to the National Bureau of Statistics just on Saturday. Some of the contributory measures could be oil price and COVID-19. What specific steps is the monetary authority going to take to make us exit this recession quickly? Because the finance minister said it's going to be short-lived. Are there specific steps? Thank you, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Laura Folai and I work with TVC News. I'd like to know, as the parallel market rates have started climbing up again, I'd like to know what your comments are on this development. That's number one. Then with inflation rate now at about 14.23%, I'd like to know what measures you're putting in place to address this growth we are seeing in inflation. Thank you.
Thank you. Governor, I have also some questions from some of the correspondents. They sent in their questions. This one is from Ndoka Chiejina of the Nation newspaper. And his question is, in May 2020, you had warned about a looming recession if the country did not do the needful to enhance production and reduce the high rate of unemployment. Now that the country has entered into another recession, what is the CBN doing to facilitate the country's early exit from the recession? And the second one is from Obinna Chima of This Day newspaper. And the question is, given the youth restiveness we saw in the country during the third quarter of 2020, what is the CBN doing to respond and help youths in Nigeria? Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, thank you. Nancy AIT talked about the fact that so far we've disbursed 149 on the targeted credit facility meant for households and the SMEs, and about 92 billion to AXMEs. Whether there are more opportunities for those who have not accessed this kind of funding. Like you all recall, in March, at the outset of COVID-19, the CBN came out very, very quickly and put on the table a couple of initiatives that we believe are meant to help alleviate the pain of COVID-19 on our people. First, we talked about how the banks should restructure their facilities, how interest rates should come lower, particularly for CBN interventions, and how repayments could be spread for those who are owing banks so they have some more respite given that their cash flows have been badly affected. On another hand, we also proposed that for targeted credit facilities to households and small-scale businesses that are adversely impacted by COVID-19, that we're going to put on the table 50 billion naira for them. These are unsecured facilities meant for people who we feel are impacted and they just needed some little money either to start business or conduct some kind of consumption so as to help them live their lives during the period of pandemic. We also put on the table 100 billion naira for healthcare industry, for pharmaceuticals and hospitals, for the upgrade or building of new ones, and made available also a facility of 1 trillion naira to corporates who are willing to expand either in the agriculture or manufacturing sector. Let me say that to date, we have seen tremendous response on these initiatives. And I must also say that these initiatives, together with those that have come from fiscal, have been responsible for the somewhat moderated impact of COVID-19 on the lives of our people. To date, rather than even the 50 billion, the CBN has disbursed through its participating financial institution the sum of 149 billion naira to almost 317,000 beneficiaries. On the healthcare, approximately 60 billion naira has been disbursed to 60 healthcare projects, whether they are hospitals or they are pharmaceutical companies who are into healthcare and drug manufacturing. On the real sector, we have disbursed 350 billion naira to over 105 real sector projects during this same period. For the AXMEs, which is for those that are going to small businesses, poultry, hairdressing, and the rest, brick making, and the rest of them, we have also disbursed over 92 billion naira to more than 27,000 people. For the youth under the Creative Industry Funding Initiative, we've disbursed almost 2.9 billion naira to our youth in the area of fashion, in the area of ICT, software development, in the movie sector, and in the music sector. Now that, yes, we have seen that this has been quite impactful, particularly the targeted credit facility, which is meant for household and SMEs, because what we saw during this period is that it has helped to boost consumption spending for our SMEs. And if you know or recall that consumption constitutes over almost 70% of output, you will know that this has been very, very impactful in moderating the impact of the COVID-19 on productivity and output and GDP in our country. We have been advised, or we have been nudged on by the MPC, that given that this has been very, very impactful positively, that the CBN should do more. We put 50 billion on the table. We've so far disbursed almost 149 billion to 317,000 beneficiaries. And we have been told that we need to increase it, not just from 150 or 149 that it is now, that increase it to almost close to about 250 to 300 billion naira to accommodate more people that have not accessed this facility. But we do insist that this must be done in a way that it goes round, because we found out that some zones are more represented in the country than others. But understandable that, for instance, a zone like North Central, where you have predominantly Abuja, or Southwest, where you have predominantly Lagos, will certainly have a larger share. But the important thing is that we want to use this as an opportunity to see what can be done to boost consumption spending for our people, and also see to it that output is stimulated positively for the growth of our people, for the good of our people, rather. The second question also asks, what are the specific steps being taken to exit recession? Recession or contraction in growth, in output, is what we have seen throughout the entire world as a result not only of COVID-19. In some developed countries, during the first, second, and even the third quarter, we saw some of them even showing double-digit contraction in growth. But in Nigeria, what we've seen, during the second quarter, we saw a minus 6.1% contraction, and I will use pleasantly in third quarter, a reduction in output to 3.6% negative during the third quarter. Let me say that we are hopeful, and the Minister of Finance had addressed some gathering yesterday where she said that she's hopeful that during the first quarter of 2021, Nigeria will exit recession. Based on data available to the MPC from the CBN, we are somewhat cautiously optimistic that indeed, if we continue doing what we're doing and do more, that there's a likelihood that we will see some little positive output numbers during the fourth quarter of 2020. But I can say with some level of certainty as well that we are so certain that during the first quarter of 2021, we will exit the recession. Why? As a result of all the actions taken by the monetary and fiscal authorities, NBS, National Bureau of Statistics numbers shows that 18 sectors during the third quarter recorded growth relative to 13 sectors during the second quarter. And this growth were recorded mainly from the agricultural sector, industry, manufacturing. Indeed, we saw even services dropping somewhat slightly. But at this, agriculture coming on very strongly also means that what we can achieve from whatever we're doing to stimulate agriculture and manufacturing will create jobs for our people and also stimulate spending, will increase output, and ultimately lead to a moderation in the level of inflation in our country. The third question talked about the parallel market. And indeed, I heard some analysts talking about the parallel market, saying that exchange rate is at 480. I want to say this, that it is unfortunate and really unfair that even analysts who are supposed to know will play with numbers and begin to determine the exchange rate of our currency using parallel market rates. For the information of everybody, parallel market, as far as we know it and the data that we have, is a shallow market in Nigeria with no more than 5% of market share. Parallel market, and quote me, is a tainted market in Nigeria where people who desire to deal in illegal foreign exchange transactions, including sourcing of FX cash for purposes of offering bribes corruption. That is where they deal. And that is where people who are supposed to understand the implication of this on the economic activity on our country begin to go to television and begin to say that our exchange rate is 480. This is very unfortunate that this is the way those who are supposed to know try to bend numbers in this country. Parallel market is a market where people who do not want to provide documentations to support their transactions deal in. It cannot be a basis to determine the value of our currency. Everybody knows and is accepted that the NFX market, which is predominantly the ironing window, is a market that should be used for determining the exchange of our naira. As far as we are concerned today, the NFX ranges between 380 going to 386, 387, and we have been very open about the market price determination factors in that market. The central bank has no hand in price determination in that market. And in any case, when people say it should depreciate, the currency should depreciate. Nigeria has depreciated its currency this year by 28%. That is a whooping depreciation compared to depreciation in some countries. India has depreciated by 9% from our records. Indonesia by 4%. South Africa by 9%. Russia by 22%. Nigeria 24%. Brazil by 28%. Turkey 33%. And Argentina by 35%. I do not understand what and how people who are supposed to know will begin to crave further depreciation of the currency. But we are saying, even if the currency is overvalued, shouldn't we go through a stepwise process where the shock can be less felt than where those who are supposed to know how this works begin to create panic in the market by saying that the exchange of Nigeria is 480. It is very unfortunate. But on our side, we will continue to insist that the exchange rate is determined by forces of demand and supply in the NFX market. We do not agree that the determining factor for the exchange rate in Nigeria for our currency should be based on a market that is tainted, a market where people go to offer bribes, and you can imagine where you can pay any price to buy foreign exchange to pay bribe. We are not going to be party to that, and we will continue to say this to anybody who cares to listen. Fourth, he says inflation is at 14.3%. What measures are we putting in place? Well, you've heard everything that we're doing. But at this time, we felt, Monetary Policy Committee felt, yes, there are issues, growth, exchange rate, inflation, because interest rate is somewhat moderated. But we decided to, Monetary Policy felt that we should be looking more at exiting the recession. So, what do we do to exit the recession is what was the main focus at this. And then to address the inflation side, we said it is better for us to look at attacking inflation from the supply side. Supply side how? Offer low interest rate to people. Offer low interest rate to corporates. Offer low interest rate to small businesses. So they can go to work. So they can employ people. By employing people, we see improvement in manufacturing and industrial output. When there is improvement in industrial and manufacturing output, what you will see is that supply for goods will increase, perhaps surpass demand, so that prices can come down and ultimately impact positively on inflation. That is a strategy monetary policy has decided unanimously to adopt. It's not my position. It's a position of 10 people, and it is a unanimous decision, and we feel Nigerians should please allow us, give this a chance, and let's see how this works. Fifth question says, from Nation, that in 2020 we warned that we will go into recession. Now that we're into recession, what are we doing? All the stories I've been telling in the last 10, 15 minutes are some of the things we're going to do. But we will do more because we are hopeful. In fact, we are happy that it has worked and hopeful that as we do more, it will impact positively on the lives of our people and our economy can be better. But let me say this and assure people that what is happening is a global trend. It is a global phenomenon. And government, monetary and fiscal authorities are doing their best. No one would have thought that today price of crude is where it is sometime in February, March. Price of crude was at $17 a barrel. Today it's at 44. But in spite of that, we're developing other strategies that would help us to diversify this economy from depending on oil. And that's why you could see from the numbers, non-oil sector contribution to growth has increased, while crude oil contribution has reduced. And that is what we need to continue to do. We need to continue to tell people that Nigeria should be a country with the highest population in Africa, a country with the highest GDP in Africa, should not be a country that sneezes when crude price drops. We are not in control of price. We are not in control of quantity. What kind of people are we that we would allow exogenous factors to determine the prosperity of our nation? This is time that we as Nigerians must think about diversifying the base of our economy. One way, Nigeria has survived on agriculture before we found oil. And there is no need reinventing the wheel. We just need to go back to agriculture. Embrace the expansion in manufacturing and industrial output, because that, as far as we are concerned, is the way ahead and road ahead for Nigeria. I thank you very much for your understanding.
Thank you, Governor. With this, we've come to the end of this briefing. Incidentally, this is also the last of the meetings of the MPC for the year 2020. And God willing, we'll see you again in January 2021. Thank you, sirs and ma'ams, and God bless you.
Dialogue, empathy, love, and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
We have lived in harmony with the Igbos, with the Hausas, with the Edo. Everybody that comes to this state, we have lived in harmony. Because we believe in the unity of this country.
We call for peace, we call for calm, but we also call for justice and accountability.
Let's build and not destroy.
I got the power. Power to the people, we the people got the power. Let's ride. I got the power.
I'm going to show you how to wrap a gift and make it look absolutely adorable. Here are some things that I got for wrapping the gift, like the wrapping paper which I got from the supermarket, my sticky tape which is always with me at home, and then some old hair clips that I just found just in case it's going to be useful, my adhesive, a cutter, the gift pack, my base, size of the gift. Obviously, we're going to use just maybe half of this sheet, so cut it in half. Remember, art is all about improvisation, so if you don't have a cutter, you can just get a kitchen knife and then just cut through, or a scissors. Place our gift pack right in the middle of the sheet. You lift. Make sure you have this sharp edge so that the wrapping will be very firm and tight. Then you lift. Here we have a very firm wrap. Make sure you fold it neatly so that you can have this surface very nice and presentable. When folding, try to always create a pattern. Like I just created a pattern with this silver edge. And you stretch, and then we'll begin to fold. Now this wrapping paper is going to be very interesting because we already have the lines, so we don't need to stress ourselves too much when we begin to fold and create the shape of the fan. Fold it this way, just fold it anyhow you want. Just make sure the end process is neat. So we can have something like this, and I bet you it's going to come out really nice. So your hand on it to dry it. If you feel a little bit lazy, you could just place anything. Like you could just place this on it and let it dry. I'm going to get this hair clip for my hair because I want to make the gift pack more personal. So I'm going to uncouple it and then attach it somewhere. You just personalize it doing this. You turn it around, and we'll still go ahead with the personalization process. So our butterfly is going to be somewhere. Check your 3D fabric paints to make sure the tip is open, because sometimes they get blocked, and when they get blocked, when you write, the writing gets wobbled. So okay, that means we're good to go.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
last 3 decades has witnessed a concerted effort to end the spread of wild polio virus, which causes poliomyelitis in children, making them go, some of them would never walk again. They get irreversibly paralyzed. But in the last couple of weeks back, Nigeria and indeed Africa and of course part of the world has been celebrating with us because we have been able to eradicate polio. It is a thing of joy because even the struggle we here on Bridges have also been part of that struggle. So today, this program will be dedicated to that struggle. What were the strengths? What are the lessons that we can learn? What is it that people of this world have been able to come together and kick polio out of Africa? It started over 30 years ago, and so today is all celebration. We're going to listen to how the journey started and where we are today, and what we need to do as a people to ensure that indeed we kick polio finally out of Africa. Welcome to Bridges. I'm Mujima Konjola.
Polio has ended in our country in a proud dawn for all Nigerians. Thank you, Rotary International, and all our End Polio campaigners for
ravaged hundreds of thousands of children globally with resulting paralysis and other forms of lifetime disabilities. It became a serious global public health issue.
At one point, the cases were surging, they would dip. We reached a year where Nigeria accounted for more than half of all the global cases in the world.
Rotary International has been at the forefront of global efforts to end polio. Rotary has helped to immunize more than 2.5 billion children in 22 countries and so far contributed more than $2.4 billion towards the eradication of polio globally.
If we must give Rotary one credit, they've been the best lobbyists to push the agenda forward. Everyone has to contribute.
Rotary have been instrumental to mobilizing huge resources for the polio eradication efforts. They've done it consistently, from 1988, and they've been very consistent. So Rotary are also actively involved in implementation of the program, because each time we have our national immunization days, each time we have any program or activity that is directly related or indirectly related to polio, you can be rest assured that a polio Rotarian will be there.
The drive and determination of Rotary International to end the menace of polio saw it launch Polio Plus in 1985 as the first and largest internationally coordinated private sector support of a public health initiative. The Polio Plus initiative fundraising target of $120 million was exceeded by 100%.
So when we introduced the immunization plus days, which included the add-ons, ITNs or measles vaccines, some deworming tablets, and actually Rotary International also contributed some of those items which were administered during those periods.
In May 1988, the 41st World Health Assembly, held in Geneva, Switzerland, adopted a resolution for the worldwide eradication of polio. The occasion marked the launch of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, spearheaded by national governments, WHO, Rotary International, UNICEF, CDC, and much later, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
And so when Rotary alerted the world in 1987, that it was possible to eradicate polio the way the world eradicated smallpox. I knew there were some people who were skeptical, some were cynical, some were even sarcastic, but I think immediately the United Nations bought into that vision, and they mandated the World Health Organization to act on behalf of the United Nations, along with Rotary and other partners, UNICEF, just name them, World Bank, and so on and so forth. We were able to do it.
In 1988, when this initiative was birthed, there were 355,000 reported cases in the world. Given the efforts of these four partners with member countries and some other partners led to the reduction of the total number of cases from that 355,000 in 1988 to just about, I think, 670 something in 2002.
For Africa, Rotary International launched the Kick Polio Out of Africa with PAM by the then South African President Madiba Nelson Mandela, together with the Rotary International President.
Polio is a disease that we can conveniently eradicate. It could have been done some years back. You don't need rocket science to eradicate polio.
So it is our commitment to have a polio-free world. And that is why we are involved everywhere. That is why we are involved very deeply in Nigeria, because Nigeria happens to have been the remaining endemic country in Africa. And that is why Rotary is involved even in Pakistan and Afghanistan, the remaining two countries.
So these like Rotary and so on were very much behind this support so that the vaccine would be available throughout the country.
Without partnership, we wouldn't have been able to reach where we are today. We cannot be talking about polio eradication. And when I talk about partnership, it's partnerships at different levels.
Partnership between implementing partners, implementing agencies, developing partners in the EOC, partnership between religious leaders, the level of the states, the local government areas and communities has also been very, very important.
Rotary International as an organization, and specifically the Nigerian National Polio Plus Committee, has also been in the forefront of that partnership in the area of fundraising, in the area of advocacy, in the area of social mobilization, community mobilization.
Rotary is the most important partner in the polio eradication program, and we acknowledge that Rotary, who first, come up with the financial support to start the polio eradication program in 1988.
If anything is going to be said about the polio in Nigeria, in any part of the world, Rotary should take one of the top positions because they were there from beginning and they are still there supporting.
In Nigeria, Rotary's mantra of service to humanity above self has been the hallmark of its campaign for the eradication of polio nationwide.
When Christians and Muslims get themselves involved in something of common interest, something that is neither Christian nor Muslim, and they are both equally concerned about it. Take vaccination, polio vaccination. You go to the clinic, there are women there with their children. Nobody is going to say, where are the Muslim children? Where are the Christian children? Every child needs vaccination. And the fact that Christian and Muslim women, as mothers, find themselves together in the same clinic, they are already together. And that already promotes the kind of relationship we are talking about.
Most especially, it's passionate when you are given to Rotary. Knowing fully well that Rotary is an organization that does the right thing. Rotary has the structure, they have the contact, they have the personnel, they have the reach, and then the men that have interacted in Rotary has created additional confidence in me.
Let me use the opportunity first to appreciate, on behalf of the Northern Governors Forum, to appreciate Rotary, because I knew a lot of efforts that were made by people, a lot of effort that were introduced by Rotary, and the commitments and also the sacrifices made by traditional rulers, especially traditional rulers in the North. It wasn't easy.
It's important for all parents to bring their children to be vaccinated, to be immunized against polio. And we believe it's very important, and that's why we personally and physically administer this vaccine to these children.
Such was Rotary's commitment to the cause that it took the combined efforts of over 200,000 Rotarian volunteers across the country who repeatedly immunized more than 45 million children under the age of 5 years.
We had to form an interagency coordinating partner, ICC, because we needed all of us to be on the same page, join hands, and be able to do our work together.
And Rotary mobilized talents, treasure, and time from around the world, and committed themselves to seeing the end of polio because it's eradicatable.
We went out to talk to private health centers once we realized the need for people to have areas where we can immunize them. And that is the way we built it all up over the period.
Rotary International was the spirit behind it, a moving spirit, in the sense that they gingered everybody and they encouraged the journey to this goal, all the travelers on this journey. At a time when interest was flagging, Rotary was always very actively involved in getting things moving. They played a key role in it.
So as we celebrate Nigeria being polio-free, I hope we also don't forget many Nigerians who worked extremely hard with all they have and are not here with us to bear witness to this achievement that we have made. Just on the top of my head, I remember the late President Yar'Adua, who promised the world in August 2008 that he will do whatever is humanly possible to ensure that polio is out of Nigeria, that we keep polio out.
For my plea to all of us that we need to mount a vigorous campaign to undo the negative propaganda that follows the exercise of the polio.
I want to use this opportunity to reiterate that we believe in the cost effectiveness of immunization as a strategy to reducing disease burden and urge all parents, caregivers, traditional, religious, community leaders, and NGOs to promote immunization as a child's right.
Today, Nigeria, a country which according to WHO accounted for more than half of the global polio burden by 2012, has achieved the much sought-after milestone in the fight against polio.
So Nigerians are passionate people. That's what I think is responsible. And once there is an innate feeling in them to be passionate, they are dedicated, they're committed, and they want to make sure none of their children suffer from this paralyzing disease.
With the last reported case in 2016, wild polio virus is no longer endemic in Nigeria, as no new case has been recorded in the last 3 years.
Rotary was with us. They provided technical, moral support, and they kept us going. So Rotary has been a major and active player on the scene.
The World Health Organization has therefore removed Nigeria from the list of polio endemic countries, following the report of the African Regional Certificate of Commission.
It is one moment where we have to appreciate the ordinary Nigerian for really supporting the polio eradication effort to finish the job of polio eradication, to appreciate the frontline workers, the vaccinators who went from house to house to provide the oral polio vaccine to householders.
As Rotary International Nigeria rolls out the drum to celebrate the milestone of ending polio in Nigeria, should stakeholders be complacent? Dr. Tunji Funshaw is the chairman and the last leg runner in the last race to end the polio challenge.
We used to sleep with both eyes open. Now I think we can sleep with one eye closed. and keep the other eye on any possibility of the wild polio virus coming in through the back door.
A Rotary Polio ambassador, music entertainer Aki Sugar, believes that there is more work ahead.
I believe there should be something in the offing to support people who have been afflicted, and let's start looking closely at what we can do collectively to help those who have survived polio.
The eradication of polio in Nigeria is a significant milestone, considering the challenges facing the country.
I remember discussing with Dr. Faiza. He now asked if it's possible to set up a polio squad, which I did, set up a team of polio squad, whose main task was to clear those villages of Boko Haram, secure the villages, and get the children and the families within those communities organized so that the polio team can visit and then vaccinate those children.
We were superstitious about this. We believe, well, it's either witchcraft or sorcery that is bringing this about. And when, with the help of medical science, we found that this can actually be eradicated. The Rotary International took it upon themselves that one of the things they want to achieve is the eradication of polio.
This milestone has economic, health and other social benefits because it will signify one less threat to public health, and billions of naira in government funds will be saved. The fight against wild polio virus is over in Nigeria. The victory is won, and thanks to Rotary International and many other foot soldiers of this battle.
The health workers, all of you, everybody is acknowledged, and I want to appreciate everybody who have contributed eminently. I think I will add by clapping to all of you and saying thank you for your contribution, thank you for Nigeria's success, thank you globally, thank you United Nations and everybody who have helped Nigeria to get out of this endemic. Thank you all.
Most parts of the world, and indeed Africa in particular, has one less disease to contend with. But perhaps the greater lesson from this is that there is so much the world can achieve when we work together and put service to humanity above self. Welcome back. You're watching Bridges, and it has been established that Rotary International started the journey, convinced the world, went into partnership with other people to ensure that we eradicate polio, and that's what we are celebrating on Bridges today. Of course, the media has been an integral part of this struggle. The media contributed, sometimes negatively, but most often it was positive. And it brought us to the promised land of eradicating polio in Nigeria. Let's listen.
The media is also responsible for the success we have reached.
I want to say the media played a critical role of its traditional role of informing, educating, and entertaining. But in this case, especially at the moment we had the challenges of non-acceptance. You recall that 2003-2004, when Kano State suspended polio immunization for 1 year and Zamfara for 6 months. The media was solidly behind the program, I would say. Unlike in typical situations where the media will be the one pounding us, but then, in spite of the fact that the media was also the outlet of anti-OPV campaigns, which led to the suspension of vaccination. But the media was suddenly, the mainstream media was suddenly behind the program.
As we celebrate the fact that polio is no longer endemic in Nigeria, it is important, like the experts have said, that we keep the status quo. The status quo of ensuring that every child receives immunization. According to experts, it is cost-effective and it works.
We have to ensure that the routine immunization in Nigeria, the coverage is maintained. all partners should invest in that so that we give these children the polio vaccination that they need to avoid the recurrence of it. Because we still have polio in Afghanistan and Pakistan. So there's still the fear of importation. So we are not totally out of the work. So we have to keep our eyes on improving routine immunization coverage as well as surveillance.
Well, yes, the sustainability plan lies around, first and foremost, expanding the primary healthcare network. We want to use this opportunity to build up the primary healthcare system, trickle it down to the community levels with our community health influencers program, and also create the kind of management and the funding structure that allows it to be sustainable and resilient.
We should also continue to earn the trust of parents in such a way that they will believe everything we say about immunization. Luckily for us, I think a compact has been developed between parents and the immunization program in Nigeria. So it's easy to sustain. We should sustain that.
So as we celebrate not only those of us that witnessed it, but also the great news for the future generations of Nigerians. I hope we don't forget those who worked with us but are not here to enjoy or to see the benefit of all that they strove for.
Until next week, when I hope we'll continue to celebrate, maybe celebrate the end of the pandemic, COVID-19. Then, together, we will build a wonderful world where diseases do not rule us. Instead, we take care of the diseases. Stay tuned on NTA. Bridges will be back same time next week.
Aba, the commercial capital of Abia State, well known as the Enyimba City, is a little but mighty city where anything and about everything is possible. With a population of over 2 million people residents and thousands of daily visitors, the city is said to be in a hurry almost round the clock. The bulk of the commercial activities therein is centered on creative entrepreneurial skills in diverse forms, from the metal fabrications to leather works of shoes and bags. Have you heard of Made in Aba shoes? They are a sight to behold. The creative beauty put into it with what you may describe as a seamless effort, but that is only for the expert, as I tried to produce a pair but failed woefully. Now we know that it is easier said than done for the novice. How then do these experts get the job done?
The Aba people, God gave us special strength. No matter any quantity you will order now, we will make sure that will satisfy our customers.
Who really are their target buyers?
Nigerians are not patronizing our product. Instead of them patronizing what we are producing, Cameroonians, Togo, Ivory Coast, Abidjan, all these African sub-Saharan countries, they are the people that are coming in here to buy our product because they know the value.
Is this business really profitable?
There's money here. There's money here. There is money. If the government can help us to move forward,
we will turn the economy of this country round. We will not be mentioning anything like joblessness again. All these young school leavers who don't have jobs, you see many of them here. They will be flowing, and we'll be training them because the skill, God gave it to us.
One thing that stands out are the labels on the products. All are foreign. I wondered why.
Whenever they come to know that you are the one that produced this one, sometimes they would not like to buy it. They prefer the ones they don't know, the person that worked it, than the one they know, the person that worked it.
The Aba shoes seem to be high in demand, especially within the west coast of Africa. What stands it out?
We are using two kinds of leathers. One is animal skin and a synthetic. It's Nigerian leather. That's why the country prefer this leather to those of their own leathers. As our women, they will tell you, that is what we are hearing today. They are now preferring made in Aba to made in China because of its quality today.
Given the fact that this little town, known as the Japan of Africa, can well produce footwears for the entire Nigeria and beyond, what then is stalling the effort?
Shoe manufacturing is something that needs brain work. They should first of all talk about an environment, a place that is made, that is cited for leather and the garment. Provide us, if not another thing, let there be electricity, let there be empowerment.
They don't have the equipment. We are working too much with hand. So we are stressing ourselves.
Not long ago, the state government took a giant stride to build on the people's efforts. Some of the designers were sent to China to learn and acquire more skills and finesse in this area. What has been the effect on their productivity?
I improved in my production. People that have been buying my products before I went to China, and now they can see the difference. There's a whole lot of difference in my production. It has improved the finishing, everything, the packaging is just superb right now.
Now, that is the language our youth should be speaking. Whatever it is, we must look inward if we must develop our great nation Nigeria, starting from the Japan of Africa, Aba.
This is the network service of the NTA.